Call to order the regular common council meeting, Monday, April 16th, 7 p.m. Roll call.
Fry.
Here.
McIntyre.
Yes.
Candy Davis.
Yes.
Olson. Wellnuts.
Yes.
Paul Davis.
Yes. Next item is Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Confirmation of appropriate meeting notice.
Meeting was noticed on Friday, April 13th. Agenda is posted at the post office, library, and city hall.
Okay, next item is acceptance of the agenda, but before we do that, I'd like to move number 8 up to between 6 and 7. I think most of the people in the audience here are for the Conservation Club lease discussion, and that would move that up to the front of the meeting. So if you don't want to stick around for the rest of it, you can bail out. So,
A motion to accept the agenda with that change.
I'll second that.
any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Personal appearances for non-agenda items. Anyone in the audience that wishes to speak on anything that's not on the agenda? Okay, we'll move on to the minutes from April 2nd.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any corrections or additions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number 8. Consider Conservation Club lease. Before we do this, we'll have the administrator give a little background.
Included in your packet is an addendum to the lease with the Conservation Club. The Conservation Club has indicated that they would agree, they have not indicated that they would agree with the provisions of the addendum. That's an unknown at this point. The addendum does not void the lease, but provides the following modifications. It corrects a discrepancy in the lease area of the definition of the area in Outlot 8, clarifying that it is in fact a 200 by 200 foot area as opposed to a 200 by 150 foot area. It provides access for the Conservation Club to their garage via a driveway that is not in their leased area. It allows the Conservation Club to maintain their septic field if any part of that field is outside of the leased area, and requires the city install a barrier with input from the Conservation Club as to its location that would prohibit parking in the area of the septic field. And it allows the area shown on the map attached to the addendum to be used as a protected athletic field. Thereby, it cannot be used for parking.
And most of you know we've been discussing this for more than just the last few weeks, last few number of years. So if there was anyone that wishes to make a motion on this, we can discuss this.
I will make a motion to accept addendum to Conservation Club lease.
I'll second.
What was the question?
Did I say country club? Conservation Club. Pardon me, I wish to amend that.
And still second that.
I'll
Conservation
still
Club.
second that.
Good catch. We need to make sure everybody's awake.
Okay, any discussion here at the table? Anyone in the audience that wishes to speak? Please state your name and address for the records.
I am Josh Jackson, 6497 County Road F. I'm the president of the Conservation Club out in the park. For those of you not familiar with the club, we're a nonprofit group of volunteers in the community that raise money for conservation efforts and youth programs in the city here. Every dime we bring in goes right back to the community. Conservation Club has been a fixture in the park for over 60 years. All this time we've worked with the city very well and other organizations in the park. Last summer we were approached by the city and the soccer organization about giving up some of our leased land for a soccer field. At this point there's still many open-ended questions that haven't been answered by soccer or the city. As far as, we've heard there was a fence, then there's not a fence, there's just a lot of back and forth stuff that really is open-ended. The club opposed to giving up our lease land at that time because it would conflict with our activities and others that currently use the leased land. In the past, we've tried to work with soccer and quickly learned it was a one-way partnership with them. We just wonder how we can choose a soccer field over all the other activities that are currently in that area, which would be baseball, softball, FFA uses it for tractor pulls, there's golfers out there that use it, plus just the community themselves using that open area. Also, we had expressed interest in putting up a shooting range in the area that was denied. After opposing the proposed soccer field, we kind of quickly learned the political process here, and we're kind of villainized in the eyes of us as far as, threatening to have our 50-year lease canceled. Kind of saddens me that, the council would do that to us. I mean, a nonprofit organization that you would strong arm, take our lease away because you want a soccer field. Our club felt we were very close to reaching an agreement a few weeks ago, and then once again, we've been presented with unreasonable time limits and threats to our lease, which keeps forcing us back and negating all positive progress we have made. After the city threatened to void our lease, and we were forced to hire an attorney. Our attorney believes our current lease is valid. At this point, we feel there is no point in spending any more money on lawyers that should have been going to the community and the children of the community. We have scholarships and kids fishing derby coming up that the money should be used for. We will sign the lease agreement right now, but we still want the council to know that we do not support the soccer field there. We will allow it because we don't have a choice, but we'd like you to look elsewhere, other locations possibly. That's it. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
You got, well, take some more from the audience there. Does any more in the audience? Of course, sorry.
Josh and I and Kevin have been in communication for quite a while, and I appreciate the time you guys have stuck with me and on the phone with me. This is something that's been going on for a long time. I know there's concerns with the baseball field back there. Nothing would get done until there's a new baseball field built that would handle that program that goes back there right now. I talked to Tim the other day about that, and the tractor pulls, I know that's another concern. I know it's one day a year, but that would free up that field that's been roped off for years when they've been using the south one for your trucks and that. I think it would make it a lot easier for that pits to be all lined up along the track there. So I'm just hoping this works out good for everybody involved. I hope we're not stepping on your toes too bad, Kevin. But other than that, it's been a rough few months here.
It's been a struggle. It's been a rough few months. It's been
Yeah.
a struggle. Because every time we got here, we thought we had it, then somebody else has something in the mix that we get. I mean, I've been in negotiations before, but I've never had it done like this.
Okay, is there anyone else that wishes to speak on this?
I would.
Oh.
I would just like to say, oh, go ahead.
My name's Eric Hansen, 170 Koshkonong Drive. I'm a board member with the youth baseball as well as the high school baseball booster club. And I know this is kind of going back a little bit, but to my knowledge, until yesterday or Thursday, there was no made notice to any of the Gregory's about that field back there, which some of you guys, if any of you know, that there's a memorial back there that they paid for their son that has passed. They paid for that field to be built. And I think it's wrong that nobody went to them yet and asked them how to do it.
I have a letter from the Gregories okaying this.
Just recently?
No, it's about 4 years old.
So we're going by something that's 4 years old? I mean,
That's-
what were they okaying 4 years ago?
Moving the field.
That's how long this discussion's been going on, or longer, so.
What the point is Tim called down 50 field trips and like, what the point is why were we approving stuff when you hadn't talked to the person that has a memorial field back there from a letter 4 years ago?
That's still valid.
That isn't, to me, that doesn't cut it. And that's why we're all wasting our time coming to 2 meetings. It's just stuff that should have been taken care of, that never should have been voted on and approved until all this stuff was taken care of. At least in my opinion. And now, you got all these people that are upset, from them with their leaves, to us worrying about field space, when it never should have gotten that far.
Me, when we all use the park out there, we're all neighbors. We're baseball's neighbors with softball, with conservation club, with tobacco days, with the 4th of July. If we want to do something out at the park that we're not using, if we're invading a little bit on somebody else, we talk to them and just make sure, as well as you would with your neighbor. You wouldn't go to your neighbor and say, I'm going to take 3 feet of your land. Not that it's ours to take, but at least that's the neighborly thing to do, is ask. This is just, yeah, we're going on something 4 years ago, and they approached the baseball booster board 6 years ago. That's fine and mighty, but we all know that as you guys are up here, we're due to change, right? We roll over. We got elected officials. We got people that move on. That stuff doesn't cut it. That's 6 years ago. That's 4 years ago you got a letter. I talked to the Gregories today, and they're not aware that this is going to happen.
I've got the letter.
I know you got the letter 4 years ago, but that doesn't do anything today. Nobody talked to baseball or softball in the last 5 years. And now we're going to do this today. How about let's make this stuff recent?
What is, can I ask, what's baseball or softball, what would they be losing?
The diamond way in the back, the minor league, it was originally, Tim's got a better explanation.
It's Major League, it's 3rd, 4th grade.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're losing that, or what?
That's not the intention.
Okay, so that's what I guess I want to know. What's the intention then? Because it sounds like you guys think you're losing it.
No, we know we're losing.
The soccer field will be where part of that diamond is. So you will not be able to use it for soccer and ball at the same time.
Correct.
Okay, so how often would that happen?
We don't know what soccer's intention is.
Yeah,
The soccer balls out there in the outfield, we can't have kids running in the outfield. Every Saturday and Sunday, so if you don't plan on playing on them.
Yeah, and then
You guys have 50, 60 games.
yes. And then plus, I know this doesn't matter to you guys, but our littler kids play behind the elementary school, which we all know there's a referendum coming up, and if they add on to the elementary school, we're losing 2 fields back there. So we're talking another, it'll be 4K through 3rd grade would all be playing on that one field. So you're talking 250 kids we had to put on one field.
So, Tom, where are we proposing to move that field to?
Down by the deer pen.
Okay, so I don't understand. You're going to have the field. It's just going to be in a different spot.
It's going to be ready this year, or are we going to, I mean, nothing's been conveyed to us. We're all in the dark.
Is there a timeline to see for events, anything that we?
Right, I mean, we don't know anything.
Can't start deciding that until we know if we're going to do it or not. Why lay all this out a year or 2 into advance prior to us even knowing what we're going to do?
The barrier won't go in that will impact baseball. Baseball season is safe for this year, so the barrier won't be up to impact you this year. So, you know, we can work through all of this, especially the relocation of the field.
Karen Lee, 11316 North Washington Road, Edgerton. My question is, why isn't this all packaged together in one big proposal? You know, you're asking for a lot of trust from all of these groups in saying, we want to propose a fence here today. Don't worry, we'll put a diamond in later. We'll do this or that. That doesn't sound like it's in with this proposed fence. So how are we to know that that's actually going to happen someday? Therefore, we're trying to protect the things that we know are in place right now.
The proposed barrier, it's not a fence, it's going to be a barrier so you can't drive on it, would not affect the outfield of the Major League Diamond, the one back in the corner right now. So that gives us this year to get a new one built for next year, and then if the soccer field would overrun whatever has to be done with that end of the outfield there, the other field would be available.
So the other field has already been approved to be built?
It'd have to go through Parks Committee, which shouldn't be an issue.
Shouldn't or won't?
I can't say it won't. I can't say it won't be, but
That's where we're at. We don't want...
Right, but you gotta start somewhere, and then the decisions have to be made after that.
So then we could be on the wrong end of that deal. If you approve the soccer field today and don't approve the baseball field, then what?
There could be contingencies added into the decisions that we do along the way.
So what I'm saying is poor communication. I'm not saying it's you guys, I'm saying that there's poor communication on this deal. And why isn't all this stuff brought to us so we could ask these questions before we have to sit here and do this? We have registration already in place, which you're saying is not going to affect us this year. But I want to know, when we build a diamond out there, is it regulation size, or are we building...
We? Who's we?
The taxpayers.
Right.
Sure.
Right. So, yes, there'll be a diamond for you to play in.
So it's going to be big enough, it's going to be
Yes.
a Little League diamond? It's gonna be-
As I understand
So then we're going to take away a soccer field and then build a baseball diamond and...
What you want.
Okay, well, my only other comment is we're going to take a soccer field and take away a baseball field, but then we're going to put a baseball field where a soccer field is. Is that what we're doing?
Yes.
Okay.
But I think it's a combination. It's not just soccer, it's not just the baseball, it's also the FFA, and it's also the Conservation Club. So it's trying to accommodate everything, which I think is a good thing. We want to make sure that everybody gets what they need, or what they think that they need. And I think that's very important.
So Katie, we asked when one of our meetings that they come back with some proposals about other areas that are available, being land in either industrial park. There's 14 acres in Orchard Heights, which in your city park master plan is designated for a soccer field, a full-size soccer field. We asked for them to come back with comparison prices versus putting it in the area between the Conservation Club and the Ball Diamond. We never got any firm, well, I'll go back, actually, we never got any other than $20,000 per square foot for dirt, which is outrageous. So there's other areas that are available, but I don't know that anybody has put the time or the energy into investing what it's going to cost versus this area right here, which is what 5 years ago when they approached Gregory's, they wanted to put a soccer field in there. They're still, after that certain piece of land, the park was redone to accommodate soccer on the back side of the park. But that's not good enough now. That whole back side of the park, they can't put a regulation size soccer field over there, even though that was part of the plan when the Racetrack Park was redone.
I'd actually like to respond to that, if I may. The time was put in. I've put in a minimum of 10 hours on this, working with the city, looking for alternative places, per your request, were other places for a full-size soccer field. The clearest and simplest answer, honestly, is in that area, and it could certainly be a north-south field. But that would do...
Cost-wise, what's the cost comparisons is what we asked for.
The cost of putting it on the north side of where the Conservation Club now would require 2 feet of fill if you fill in a full-size soccer field and you put 1 foot of fill, a minimum of 2 feet of fill is needed to bring that up to an acceptable place. We're talking $20,000 per foot of raising. There's a 10-foot variation, elevation change between the south side to north side. If you look at the TIF district and build it out by the Reinhardt properties, and by the Caterpillar plants, those are lands that need to be purchased, developed, and you have to go in all the grading, you have to put in the electrical and do all that. And even at the end of the day, those are not properties that belong to us and could be sold at any time. So any sort of investment that is made in that land instantly is wiped out.
And Orchard Heights
And Orchard Heights is 30 feet short of being able to put a full-size field in.
for a 14-acre park.
I'm reading right here at the note that I got from the city. Orchard Park, the area is not large enough for a full-size soccer field. The league attempted to establish one there, but it is about 30 feet short. One side of the field was approximately 3% slope, so earth moving would be required to reduce the grade. Again, we looked at all of the cost-cutting measures. We took that seriously and sincerely looked into it. This is the least expensive option of all the options within the city.
And what does it cost for this field to grade that down and get that old road out of there, make it level, haul in the dirt, and put your lights in?
Rona, do we have a figure on that by any chance?
No, there's been no evaluation of how much work would have to be done. I don't know what
So
that
how
would
do you know
be.
which option is cheaper?
All of them would have the light cost. This would be the cheapest light cost because all the power's there. So of all those options, you can take lights off. This is 10 feet higher, so there isn't fill needed to be brought in to bring it up to a playable standard. But I don't know what the grading plan is.
Mr. Mayor, can you make sure people identify themselves for the minutes?
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Do you want Shelley to identify herself?
Yeah, I don't know, like, but I
Shelley
can't see
Blair,
her.
9329 Arrowhead Shores.
Thank you.
I have just a
Thank you,
couple questions in here. I don't think certain things can be denied if someone told you because the full council hasn't voted on it. This is the first time I know about this, basically. So who's ever doing no negotiations, fine and dandy, nothing ever came back to me at all. So if someone says a gun deal is denied, that's false because we haven't made the decision yet. Debbie, Mark, Candy, and Paul. Maybe, I don't know who was in the negotiations, Chris. And so that's a false statement. It says other things can't happen there. I mean, the way I'm looking at it, maybe I'm wrong, but it hasn't came to the full council. So whoever told you that, I don't know if it's 100% correct at all. So that's, I'm talking about the gun range. Maybe it isn't zoned right or something, or I don't know what the deal is. So, I mean, if someone says that can't happen, I don't know where they're getting the figures because the 4 other council members don't know nothing about it. So no one can make a decision without a legislative body voting.
That's what we were told, that would be
Oh, I'm just trying to clarify the dialogue.
available for us.
I've never heard any such thing about a gun range going in, so I had no,
Indoor shooting range.
right, but I had nothing to do with the denial on it because it never was put in front of me.
Neither was I.
Somebody is making those decisions without the input of the city.
I don't think there's a decision made. I think that's the point here.
There's no decision made. We didn't vote on it.
We were told there would be no indoor shooting range in that area.
That was never voted on by the council.
We would have to look back at our notes, but I know we've got it in writing that the city will not allow a shooting range in the...
So that could be a little bit different, whether it's a city ordinance or, I mean, if there's something there that where it wouldn't come before council, I could see, that's different. So for us, all we can say is it's nothing that came before council for approval or denial. And there may be reasons why it didn't, I don't know.
Well, the reason
So-
that we brought that up is because the area that soccer wants to take for that field, if they go east-west, is area that we had thought about putting in
Okay.
our shooting range
I
out
see.
there. And it was told to us that that's not an option.
I ideally would love to see where we can make this work for everybody. I think the baseball, Eric, I think the baseball program is extremely important. I think the FFA is important. I think the Conservation Club is important. I think soccer is important. So I think we ought to give the same weight to everybody and say, we've got this great park out there. How can we make this work for everybody? And I think ideally that'd be the thing to do.
I'd just like to say too, I doubt this council is too aware of it, but back in 2012, we signed our new 50-year lease with the city. At that time, the city attorney wrote up, and at that time, our lot line was straight out our front door. So, I mean, if you go off of that, where it was actually staked in 2012, it's not the 30 feet we're giving up. It's a whole lot more. I mean, it'd be half the soccer field again on that property. I mean, that's that's debatable, as Attorney Moriarty's taken that. But if you're a person that knows the law, you should look back at it, because when you enter into a contract with someone and you both agree it's a spot, it doesn't matter what legal descriptions are, it's where you both agree.
So on that note, I'm going to jump in here. So if we can't come to an agreement here tonight, I think maybe then we just need to start all over from scratch. And I think the best way to do that is if there's question on the validity of the lease with the Conservation Club, we need to revisit that lease and start right at the bottom and work our way back up. And I think that's the place to do it if we don't come to an agreement tonight. So.
Well, it sounded like we were at an agreement, weren't we?
Right, but I'm just saying, if you know.
The thing we did not like is, you know, that it kind of seemed as though the soccer field deal was by signing our agreement, which we were in agreement with on the lease, is you're tying that soccer field into it, saying if you sign it, that means we're good with it. Which, you know, we're good for what's ever best for the park out there.
Right.
You know, and I don't want to say that, yes, we're approving a soccer field over the baseball field or something like that. You know, I mean, as far as the lease goes, yeah, I mean, what we've discussed, we're good with it. I mean, we'll sign it.
So that's interesting. I hear you say you're okay with it and you're good with everybody's good with it. What changed? I guess that's what I'm trying to understand. It sounded like the negotiations.
Our lease is invalid. That's basically what we...
Based on what?
What we were told, based on conversation.
We vote, the legislative body. No one can make that decision until us 6 council members vote on that lease. So whatever Emery told you in advance, it has to come to the legislative elected body for the United States Constitution.
We're not willing to take that chance, being given the fact that we've been told that our lease is going to be invalid.
I don't...
As stated earlier, you know, we're a nonprofit. All the money goes back to the community. We don't need to be spending this money on...
I've never told
you know,
them.
we don't want to fight this.
Them 3 people.
And it's just, I mean, it's taken, we got a fishing derby coming up and high school scholarships that we have money earmarked for that we just can't spend no more.
Yeah, I totally get that, and I get it. That's the last thing we want to do is anybody wants to spend their money on that. I'm just wondering, is there, I mean, it sounds to me like we can make this work for everybody. I mean, I think I'm hearing and sensing everybody else too thinking the same thing. They're just a little skeptical. They're afraid they're going to lose something. I don't know if there's anybody from soccer here, but it'd be nice that everybody gets a little bit of what, you know, of what they want. Every single place or organization should deserve a little bit of something. And so maybe it's just a matter of putting faith in some of the committees. I don't think there's anybody who doesn't want to see FFA succeed, doesn't want to see Conservation Club succeed, doesn't want to see Little League, or doesn't want to see soccer succeed. I think we should see every single one of them succeed because they're equally important. I mean, personally, that's how I feel.
I come back to that lease deal. If it was signed in 2012, that's valid, isn't it? 2010, is that valid?
Alder McIntyre, if you might recall, I believe it was in November or October of last year, I was asked to evaluate the lease agreement because this issue had come up and we were trying to ascertain what areas the city was allowed to place a soccer field. In that review, because there was initially a question about the description. The description in the lease does not match the attachment. And so that was the first question. In reviewing the lease, I raised some questions, and I know I briefed the council in closed session on this topic. It was my opinion, it remains my opinion today, that the lease itself was perhaps when the city went too far in 2010 when it entered into the lease. It gave away rights that it did not legally have the right to give away because there was a by giving away public land, park land, to a single entity without control for such an extended period of time, it was giving away the rights of the public. And so I suggested to the council that one of the issues was that in fact this lease was void. And I was directed to work with the Conservation Club to try to achieve a resolution. And in the course of several months, we actually have done that. We've met, we've negotiated, we've exchanged versions back and forth. And Conservation Club, I believe, had come to an agreement that the addendum could be made to that lease, both to clarify the legal description, to make sure that what the parties had intended to be leased was in fact leased. So that problem was taken care of. We also wanted to at least try to attempt to address one of the issues that I had, which was that other entities were not allowed to use the same leased land, including, I might add, the baseball folks. They are not encapsulated in this lease. They are not allowed to use it, and they could be booted out. That, I don't think, is the intention of the Conservation Club, but one could argue that they had that right. In redrafting this addendum, it was my intention to broaden the group of users, if you will, to make it more likely that this lease would withstand a legal challenge if it were challenged. And so I was trying to balance the interests of all the parties. But again, this harkens back to that discussion. I realize it was several months ago, but I did get input from the council at that time, and I tried to adopt and go forward with the direction I was given at that time. I hope I have done so.
No.
So this isn't changing the term of the lease, it's adding this addendum to it and clarifying a few things. Yes.
I'd just like to say that this does matter to me, and I am against the barrier and amending the lease at this time. I think that we're trying to cram too many things into too small of an area there. There needs to be another outlet. It's too crowded in there. Yes, as was discussed on the Thursday meeting, an ambulance can get there, but not everybody wants to pay the cost of an ambulance. Some people may want to take their hurt or injured child by car to a hospital. And if they can't get out the one way, that's the only way they can get out, and it's too crowded and too packed down there right now on a Saturday. So I would like to see another exit, another road being built to go out of there, like we had before. And also, how are we going to work with the Conservation Club, who rents that building out on Saturdays and a lot of Sundays, and that's exactly when the soccer people are going to want to be there playing. There's not going to be enough room for them down there. So I think alternative solutions need to be addressed, and I would like to make a motion at this time to postpone.
We already have a motion.
Motion on the table at this point.
All right.
You can amend the main motion, but that motion would not be appropriate.
Okay, well, I just think that this is a safety issue, and that safety should be our number one priority.
Yes.
Kurt Watson, 2198 Stemmons Road, Edgerton. So I'm here with the FFA. I just, if this ends up going through, I just want to make sure that we do have enough room at the park. We are going to get the north side of the track to use. Our pole has grown over the years. And I'm almost worried that we're not going to have enough room there. And I'm hoping that we can go onto the east side of that drainage ditch. If we're able to, if we got enough room in that one area, fine. If we don't have enough room when we're bringing semis in, I need another place to go with them.
Could it possibly be where the soccer field would go where their tractor pole is now, and put the tractor pole with the proposed soccer field? I'm just bringing things up. Does that don't work? Okay. Okay.
We already got the tracking.
Okay, cool, okay.
It wouldn't fit.
I mean,
We looked at that.
hoping that we can park over on the other soccer field to the east of that ditch, on the concession stand, for an overflow. Would that be okay now?
Yes.
I just want to make sure we got enough room, we get there.
Kurt, you rent the whole park.
Okay.
You can park everywhere except for the baseball fields and maybe this one soccer field.
That's fine. I know it's been roped off in the past, and we've stayed in those areas. So I just don't want to get out there on Sunday morning and
The main thing we're trying to do is find one soccer field that doesn't get driven on.
And I would think too
And
that...
the baseball field.
Yeah, that as you talk, the organization should talk. I heard somebody talk about communication. So I would think that we would want to make sure that there were no baseball games or soccer games going on during the tractor pull, right?
we have
We have a permit to utilize the entire
So
park on that.
so that shouldn't be an issue then, yeah.
I just want to
Good.
move in the park.
Well, if you have the park,
Yeah.
park wherever you want, except for what Tom said.
Not
I mean,
necessarily. So this goes back to trust and being a little skeptical. A few years back, just a couple weeks before our event, we were told soccer was going to be roping off a section in our original pit area, which is north of the track. So suddenly, we did not have that available. We had an event planned and ready to go, which is why we shifted to parking south of the Conservation Club. So we are skeptical, because if this barricade goes in, who's to say in another couple of years, soccer's not going to start roping off that section in the north field? We just don't have that trust, because we weren't consulted. Nobody came and asked us if that was okay. We were simply told, it's roped off, you can't use it. And so we, on the fly, had to make decisions to be able to host our major fundraiser that supports all of our activities.
Did the soccer club people tell them that, or did you tell Tom? You know,
I think the idea behind those, if there's a permanent field over there, or not permanent field, a section where it cannot be driven on, that would eliminate the need to rope something off, because the purpose of roping it off was just to prevent the rutting of it. So if there's a place where they're not concerned about preserving a premier field, then the roping becomes a moot point, because they would anticipate that would be driven on anyways.
We understand that was the decision here today, but again, we're skeptical of what the future may hold.
Sure.
Suddenly, because again, we weren't consulted in the past based on historical events. We're scared for the future.
And understandable, but once bitten, twice shy, right? Is the old saying as it goes.
But I think, if I may jump in, I think that's more likely to continue to happen if we don't place a new field that nobody drives on. I think it's more apt to continue to happen that way.
Well, we got to move a new baseball field too, so where's that going to go? And that may affect us too.
That's way down the other end.
It'd be way down
By the deer
The
pens.
deer park, yeah, by the deer park.
And to that point, and going back to the baseball group, and that is something if as long as I'm heading out of my term on the Parks Committee, it's something that if the Little League and the the baseball, I got to keep all my sports straight here. The baseball group wants to work with the Parks Committee. The communication is definitely always open. There's always a way to communicate with the incoming people about, hey, these are the things we'd like to see. These are the projects we'd like to work on. Can we communicate and work on that? It's not just it doesn't even happen in 1 year type of thing. It's just an ongoing conversation and dialogue. So as this field is potentially being moved to a different section, we would need that input and that dialogue from you and your feedback on what you like, what you don't like. So that is up to your snuff and up to what you think is appropriate.
Sure. Communication hasn't been.
That's all right. Can I address what you just said? That's great. We're talking right now.
Yep.
There's been no communication with baseball.
Sure. And
so right now we're all sitting here like not getting left out in the cold, obviously, because 4 years ago we got a letter that said it was okay, and soccer never once came to us, and that's where I said the neighbor thing. I mean, baseball doesn't obviously have the right to say, yeah, you can't use the park, you can't do this, but don't you just ask, or there's been no communication whatsoever to baseball. And then that goes along with softball, that goes along with the FFA. So we're asking is, how do we have faith in what you're saying if we've never gotten talked to? That's the whole trust thing. Yeah, I'll come and talk to Tom and you or the Parks Committee about our new baseball field, that's great. But up until last week, we didn't even know anything about it. Now we're sitting here trying to get our questions answered as you're trying to approve this soccer field.
So if I might, so Mayor Lund, once you make your reorganization decisions for for tomorrow night for the new committees, whoever is on the Parks Committee, maybe make sure that they reach out to at least one person in each of the organizations to talk about what are their needs, what are their suggestions, and to keep those people abreast of what's going on at each of the parks meetings.
Maybe before they leave tonight, they can leave their information.
With their information, yeah.
That's a really good suggestion, because in 2 years, I had to wait and be reactive and wait for people to come to me. Obviously, my contact information is available online, but I didn't know who the players were, pun intended.
Good, yeah, and I think that's a very important part. It's not that anybody's trying not to communicate or hiding. It's, you don't know, just like you guys wouldn't know who to contact here.
Right, but...
You know, so if we could get every organization leave contact names and numbers, we'll make sure that when the new committees are formed, you know, and maybe that the Parks Committee holds a hearing session.
But also
Right.
to that note, the park board meets nearly monthly throughout the year, not so much maybe in the winter. But there's agendas posted, just like all the other city agendas, and I would think if there's people involved with, you know, parks activities, like you guys or anybody, they would want to keep posted with what's going on those agendas and attend meetings.
Sure, but the thing is if there's going to be major change, and that's major change, you think that on your part, you also want to reach out to them organizations too. Works both ways.
Right, and that's what I'm saying, it works both ways.
I get it, you know, and here, that's why we're all here. That's why we're here. To me, I think that this is just, there's been no communication between everybody that uses that park and you guys.
So people who sit on this side of the table don't understand as much if you're not out there in the field, so to speak. And you guys don't really understand how it works on this end of the table, rightfully so. So I think with the commitment with whoever the new Parks Committee is going to be, that should help strengthen the communication and the dialogue. And then, once that's strengthened and you guys understand when are the meetings, and you can watch for what's on the agenda, when there is something that does pertain to each of the sports and organizations, to make sure that they're reached out to say, listen, this is going to be a discussion on a meeting, you may want to be there.
I have a couple more questions.
Tim?
Oh, I just had a quick question. So basically, are you guys saying that all these discussions that we've had over the last 3 days, there's going to be a whole new Parks Committee? So all this is going to have to start all over again?
Doesn't mean it has to start over. There'll be new players. There may be some new players. There will be. Because Jonathan, yeah.
And 2 people will
There
be
will be
new.
at least 2 new people.
Which is okay. There's nothing wrong with that. It's you know, there's
Part of
just
the
new
process.
people, and it's part of the process, and that's a absolutely great time to refresh and start reconnection.
But to vote on something right before they go out, I mean, that...
And that seemed hasty, or hastily, that...
I mean, yeah.
No.
No, because it's not like it's going to be starting from scratch. I mean, this is an issue that's been going on for years, and why put it off to start all over again? Most of the work has been done. What's that?
Because there's been no communication.
Well, I'm committing, whether I'm on that committee or not, to help push that communication forward. Because I think it's important. I think it's important for every single organization here. And so from a personal perspective, I'll commit to making sure, I'll be here at the meetings to help make sure that, and I'll hold my co-alder people responsible for making sure that communication is in place.
Does these ballards, or whatever you call them, the telephone poles, need to be put in now? Can't they be put in until, if there is a soccer field there, that needs to be put in first before these ballards, so people can get it out? It seems like, you know, why put them in now? You know, I'm not saying it's cart for the horse, but you think if whatever's going to be there, soccer field or whatever the case, another baseball field or whatever, that them things you put in the ground would go on last. That's what I'm just thinking, Chris, you know, I mean, but then you gotta work all around it, you know? Just an
The
idea.
construction equipment would need to go through there.
No.
Who said they're putting them in now, Matt?
Are they?
That's what I was led to believe.
Why would
Oh, we said,
I've just asked a question.
yeah.
Sorry, Chris.
You did,
I had the
was there a
floor.
question?
Yeah, is there
was
a
your question?
timetable when them little telephone poles?
No, there's no specific timetable.
Oh,
The idea is,
okay.
as stated earlier, is
That's all I
they're trying to
wanna
set aside one part of the park that isn't used for parking.
So,
So how that happens, when it happens, will all be a conversation.
okay, that's fine. And also, I'm just gonna ask a question, it's kind of related to it, in that area out there. Is there still a room for a gun range out there?
You mean an
I don't know.
indoor gun range?
I don't know
Indoor gun
anything about
range.
a gun range. I don't know.
If an organization wants to put one in there, I just,
No, because if the barriers go in and that's designated as a soccer field, there is no chance for us to put an indoor shooting range out there. Number one, you can't get to it. And number two, the soccer field takes part of that land where that indoor shooting range would be.
Bill, you're pretty familiar with these lots, and I appreciate your comment on that lease and stuff. Of your expertise, well, it depends what size it is, like say if it's like the size of City Hall or something. Do you know, and it's kind of a hard question to ask.
I would think that she's correct that in terms of access, the most likely place to put one would be where the baseball diamond is, but such a permanent structure would be expansion beyond the lease. I mean, it's certainly not contemplated by the lease that you're allowed to build a permanent structure under the lease, and building a permanent structure on what is parkland, admittedly, it's leased parkland for 50 years, would most assuredly need this council's approval, and I would suggest that if one were intent on doing that, that a better way of doing it would be actual sale of property as opposed to leasing of property. I know if I'm building something, I don't want to lose it, however long the lease is, whatever the value of those improvements are. So there's several issues I would see with putting a indoor range, whether it be there or elsewhere. It obviously has to comply with whatever the zoning is. I don't know that this is zoned for that. It may or may not be. There are other locations. Unfortunately, the most obvious location would put it right in the middle of the tractor pull, which is also city land, but it would have to be sold.
So to surmise, you're saying that if a building was put in for an indoor pistol range or indoor shooting range, that would require additional land that is not already encapsulated in the lease? Did I understand that correctly?
Well, I think that, looking where the traps are, I'm not an engineer. I don't pretend to be one.
That's a hard question.
But I think it would be, there are a couple locations, but it would certainly require a modification of the lease, and I would suggest that the city and the club would be better served by selling the land as opposed to leasing the land, if that were the desire at that point. It's never been brought forward to the best of my knowledge.
Okay.
We have downtown property that's on a 99-year lease, I believe. But Josh, could you explain to us what additional revenue you might incur if you had an indoor pistol range?
Well, I mean, at the time when we had brought that up, I'm also a member of Stone
discussion.
Club. Currently, we keep our membership prices very low to help the community so anyone can be a part of our club. I mean, it's $10 a year. Stoughton currently is at $115 a year, and they have, I know as of 3 years ago, they were at 2,900 members, and they said 90% of that was from the pistol range. I mean, they just did a $500,000 renovation of the pistol range just because they had to get rid of money. Because they're a nonprofit like us.
Tell them to bring it here.
Yeah, exactly.
To bring it here.
Exactly.
I know people in Stoughton.
The thing for us is being it's hard because we are a small group currently. We like to grow it, and so it's one of those catch-22. You got to make the initial investment to build it, but then the people come, and then there's your revenue. So I mean, I know at the time we brought up the park board, they wanted to know when, and it's like I can't put a date on that. If we're volunteer farmers, so. And I think that's why it was more or less chopped down, because I couldn't put a date on it where the soccer field is here and now, you know, and
I have one,
Where do they send the police now to go to their shooting? You tell me, John?
It depends on what we're doing. Right now, we use the gravel pit county owns down by Janesville. We use that quite a bit, or we use the Prairie Range down in Janesville if we need to do inside things.
So if we had one here, and we were able to get one funded ourselves and everything, so would it be
Definitely, we consider it.
Say we're getting off the agenda on this.
yeah, I have one
Too far
really
discussion.
last question as it pertains, because I did hear a question over here earlier about the diamond, the baseball diamond, being moved to the Deer Park. I think you guys, I heard you say, wasn't there a soccer field there now? So would that be a different place from where the soccer field is now, or?
There's small soccer fields there now that would be moved up to where the
new one is
soccer
going?
field is.
Okay. Does that answer any question you had about that? So wouldn't, whatever is there now, they wouldn't use that for soccer?
Right.
They'd use the one that's going in? Okay. So that would make room for the baseball diamond?
Well, those fields are too inside.
Yep. The soccer fields? Yeah, because it's a little one, right? That's currently there.
They would move those up to where it currently is. They don't worry about cars parking on it. They're looking to protect one field.
One field.
Chris, is this a 50-year lease that you guys were proposing?
We're not changing.
We're not changing that.
Addendum to the lease, there's no new lease.
Did you read the addendum?
So
With the road on the back side of what, the Deer Park?
2010 lease stands.
which was a 50-year lease?
Right.
Okay.
So, I don't know.
Any further discussion at the table here?
Well, it sounds like that the Conservation Club is favorable to this, and I think that this passes that a lot of the groups all have to get together and make this work, as Candy and everybody talked, all the sporting events and so forth, and make this work. You know, there's nothing's perfect, but I think if the Conservation Club is for this, then I'm for it. But if they were against it, I would have voted against this thing, you know, because they did so remarkable things for this community ever since I was a kid back in the late 50s, going up to that park for going on 60 years. And all my brothers and families and funerals have been out there, and just there's been a tremendous amount of activity out there that really tugs at your heart what they did, amongst the other organizations in this community too. And I know that I'm for a soccer field, 100%, but I was just torn over get bits and pieces on the streets and stuff. I wish the whole council was together. And as you know, that Bill mentioned, there was a motion for a couple of people to work on this. So if there had been periodic updates on it, maybe these questions wouldn't have been asked tonight. I guess that's how it goes. But I just hope that them ballards that gets put in sometime down the line so this stuff can, you know, settle for a little bit. Versus like if you put them in right away, and I had to remember the people here that, you know, that hasn't been decided yet. Because right away it'd be like, okay, we got you. But potentially people could think that. So we're all together in this stuff. And we have a lot of good members, you know, that have been working on this stuff. And, you know, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be dying in this community in hopefully 30 years or more. But so I'm going to be involved, and so are all these members here too. Mayor Chris, he's a pretty nice guy. And I give Bill a lot of credit for the work you've done. I asked a lot of questions to you, Bill, and I didn't mean to put you on the spot at all. But as a layman, I didn't know about the original lease and stuff, and I just wanted to make my questions as clear as possible in my mind, because I'm going to be going out to that park all the time for years and years and years and years and years. And hopefully that this soccer field, if it does come in, the park board could think something even different, you know, even though this lease does say athletic field, parentheses soccer field. So everybody knows the concerns, and as Candy noted, and everyone else, that everyone's aware of what's going on right now, so hope there isn't no more bad vibes out there. So
I make a motion to call the question.
I'll second.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor to call the question.
But there's already a motion before.
This is a motion to call the question. So if you're done with discussion and you want to call the question, call the vote on the original motion, you vote yes. So roll call on to call the question.
Wellnuts.
Yes.
Candy Davis.
Yes.
What was the original?
Olson.
Except for the addendum to lease.
No.
Paul Davis.
Yes.
Fry.
Yes.
McIntyre.
No.
Motion passes 4-2. Now, the original motion is to approve the addendum for the lease with the Conservation Club. Roll call on that.
Fry.
Yes.
Wellnuts.
Yes.
Paul Davis.
Yes.
McIntyre.
Yes.
Candy Davis.
Yes.
Olson.
No.
Motion passes 5-1. Thank you, guys. Thanks for, like I say, dealing with us, and we will continue to deal on things. We will get your posts in as soon as you're ready to put them up. And one other thing with the contacts information, if you got something and you want to leave tonight, leave your email address because we can have agendas emailed to you on whichever committees you would like noted on.
And we should also leave a backup just in case the primary cannot be reached.
Sounds good to me, too.
Yep.
I'll leave a piece of paper and a pen, if that's okay, out on the table.
I just have one question, Chris. So now that we sign these papers, our lease is renewed, are we in a binding lease for the next 40 years of our 50-year lease so that the city can come back in 4 years and say your lease is invalid?
It's not, well, I wish Bill was in here for that, but it is not renewing the lease. It is just adding this wording onto it. It doesn't change. It doesn't change anything other than what's amended with this addendum here.
But
That is the correct and that is the intention of this council, yes.
so then our original invalid lease is still valid in the terms of this?
Well, that's why you don't want to ask these questions in the public, because somebody could bring it up and
I'm just saying, so our original
challenge it.
plans with this addendum,
Right.
with the property lot lines, the addition of the outlet 8, but that is now going to be our lease will be binding for the remainder of the term of our lease and not coming back for 4 years.
Get public.
There's so much in that little area.
The sports complex.
That is correct.
For the
But we
term.
just need to, I think, there's trust, big word.
But we're out of land, we don't have any more space. They'll find it.
Okay.
So the barrier, should spring and summer actually show up, we're not going to see a barrier until after all of the planned events for the time being, like after baseball season, that's where we're looking.
My motion the other day at Parks had nothing to say about
time frame.
About time frame. It was open-ended and ambiguous in person.
So you're
In person.
next park meeting to
Hey, I'm probably, there you go.
We've got planned events, we just want to be sure that they're...
I wouldn't say that, I would be doubtful if anything happens, if I can speak
Yeah.
to that better.
We need to work with all the people
Yeah,
involved.
it's not like
We have
this
to talk
is,
to everybody, so.
it's not like saying June 1st, it's construction equipment's coming out there, right, Tom? Oh, so see, it's not June 1st, it's tomorrow.
It's easy to mark in the snow.
The idea is that we're just trying to put the piece in
Make
place,
sure-
then we can
Yeah,
organize
and
things as they go along,
put your
timeframes,
contact
accommodations, things like that.
information.
We just need to get something,
But that last question was a
Get
very
started.
important question.
right? Yep, it doesn't happen just
My
overnight,
personal opinion
especially with
is I would
government.
hope we would wait until the other baseball, softball, minor league, major league, t-ball, whatever that diamond is back there now, the Memorial Diamond, the new one is built before we do any major renovations out there that will make that so it's not usable.
And I would also say we'll recontact the Gregories.
Yeah.
Absolutely, that is a must. Yeah.
Okay, we've got a rest of the agenda.
Just one comment to Karen. I wanted to let you know that I really appreciated your speech and your testimony the other night. It was very moving, and as a former FFA, or as an FFA alumni myself, I appreciated everything you had to say.
That was good.
There's paper out on
And thank you all
by the
again.
window, please. Thank you all for your time. Information.
Thank you for coming by.
The more is better. More is good. More is good. More information, more names.
Okay, let's move on to committee reports.
Yeah, it'll be boring if you want to get going.
You okay? Finance with Mark.
All right, I'm going to make a motion to allow for a change order number 1 from VisuServe Incorporated for a reduction of $4,230 for the Catlin Street Storm Sewer Lining Project.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Wellnuts?
Yes.
Candy Davis?
Yes.
Olson?
Yes.
Paul Davis?
Yes.
Fry?
Yes.
McIntyre?
Yes. Motion passes.
I'm going to make a motion to approve the final pay request from VisuSewer Incorporated in the amount of $30,840 for the Catlin Street Storm Sewer Lining Project.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Wellnuts?
Yes.
McIntyre?
Yes.
Candy Davis?
Yes.
Olson?
Yes.
Paul Davis?
Yes.
Yes.
Fry?
Yes.
You want to get out of here, huh? Last night?
Sometimes I just want to be a
I think that
Davis.
motion passed.
Okay, 3, I'm going to make a motion to approve a change order number 1 for Nelson for a reduction of $12,316,000.74 for the High Street Improvement Project.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Wellnuts?
Yes.
Candy Davis?
Yes.
Olson?
Yes.
Paul Davis?
Yes.
Fry?
Yes.
McIntyre?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Going to make a motion to approve the final pay request from Nelson Excavating in the amount of $2,059.81 for the High Street Improvement Project.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Wellnuts?
Yes.
Candy Davis?
Yes.
Olson?
Yes.
Paul Davis?
Yes.
Fry?
Yes.
McIntyre?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Going to make a motion to approve a change order number 1. I'm not sure, something ain't looking right here to me, but I'm going to go ahead anyway with this. For change order number 1 for Nelson Excavating for a reduction of $1,009 for the Rollins Street Storm Sewer Repair Project.
Second.
Any discussion?
Why is that a reduction?
Why is the contract, it's a unit cost bid, so the
Okay.
final pay request is always a reconciliation of all the unit.
Just something ain't, I don't know.
Oh.
Anyone else? Roll call.
Wellnuts?
Yes.
McIntyre?
Yes.
Candy Davis?
Yes.
Olson?
Yes.
Paul Davis?
Yes.
Fry?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Going to make a motion to approve the final pay request from Nelson Excavating in the amount of $835.60 for the Rollins Street Storm Sewer Repair Project.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Wellnuts?
Yes.
Candy Davis?
Yes.
Olson?
Yes.
Paul Davis?
Yes.
Fry?
Yes.
McIntyre?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Going to make a motion to approve bills and payroll in the amount of $225,356.64.
Second.
Any questions on the bills? Hearing none, roll call.
Wellnuts?
Yes.
Candy Davis?
Yes.
Olson?
Yes.
Paul Davis?
Yes.
Fry?
Yes.
McIntyre?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Number 8, there are no licenses tonight, so I'm going to move on to number 9 and make a motion to approve an agreement with Murphy Desmond SC for the prosecuting legal services.
Second.
Any discussion?
Congratulations.
Hasn't passed yet. Roll call.
Wellnuts?
Yes.
McIntyre?
Yes.
Candy Davis?
Yes.
Olson?
Yes.
Paul Davis?
Yes.
Fry?
Yes.
Motion passes.
I make a motion to approve the pool passes program for the income eligible patrons.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Wellness?
Yes.
Candy Davis?
Yes.
Olson?
Yes.
Paul Davis?
Yes.
Fry?
Yes.
McIntyre?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Going to make a motion to approve 150 linear feet curb replacement on Blaine Street using stormwater utility funds.
I'll second.
I'm gonna actually change this from finance, not to exceed $6,000.
Okay, I'll second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Wellness?
Yes.
Candy Davis?
Yes.
Olson?
Yes.
Paul Davis?
Yes.
Fry?
Yes.
McIntyre?
Yes.
Motion passes.
That's all I have for finance.
That was enough.
Yeah.
Anything from Parks? Last week, anything from Parks last week?
I think we handled it.
Oh, geez, let me think about that here for a second.
Anything else from Parks? Anything
no-
besides that what we covered tonight from Parks?
No, I want to say it was actually it was a very lively meeting, and I'm actually very happy, even though it was, there's stress in the air, but I think it's good that people are getting involved in the community. We need that, whether it's good or bad, there needs to be a voice, especially for parks, because parks are fun. And so, we already talked about the one thing. The other part was the income eligible passes for the low-income people, which is a very exciting program we're going to be putting together for the pool. Other than that, there is an ongoing project in the city, identify the largest tree in the city and win a prize for that. So if you've got, yeah, that's right. If you think you got the biggest tree, you could win some money.
Well, I know I don't.
And I will say, going out, as I'm heading out of the chair, I just hope that I challenge the people in the committee to continue the good works going forward, to be involved on it, and to look for opportunities that we can improve the outdoor and recreational opportunities in Edgerton. So,
Thank you.
that's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tree Board.
The tree board adopted a mission statement. They are preparing for an Arbor Day celebration, which hopefully will have great attendance, 10 o'clock on April 27th at the Veterans Building. They're going to plant 3 trees up there, and there'll be some kids to help, so it should be a very interesting day. They're also working on a tree planting project at Racetrack Park.
Thank you. Utilities.
We gave a leak credit for 605 West Fulton Street for $100 for water, and that was about it.
Public Works.
Public Works met earlier tonight, just had the one agenda item that Mark proposed, which is the Blaine Street curb, coming out of the stormwater utility. And I would just like to say I'm obviously not going to be on that committee anymore. I did enjoy it. I hope that whoever does fill those seats appreciates and takes into consideration, in my opinion, the most important committee, because it deals with the foundation and the maintenance of the town and the streets and buildings and whatnot. So I wish you luck, and I'll be watching.
I'd like to say false park rules, Public Works.
Consider mayor's appointment to the Tree Board. I'd like to nominate Dave Mancheski. Is that pronounced right?
I'll make that as a motion, Chris.
Sounds Polish.
Was that a second out of Jonathan?
Second, yes.
Oh, I thought I heard something over there, but...
Second, yes.
Okay. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. The next item is to consider adoption of City of Edgerton Declaration recognizing the Week of the Young Child.
Make a motion to do so.
Second.
Any discussion? Other than they aren't having the fair up at the school this year, so miss out on doing that. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Carried. Next item is adoption of City of Edgerton Declaration honoring Jonathan Fry.
I'll gladly make that motion.
Second.
And I got a message from Jim Burdick to both Jonathan and Fry, wishing you the best, and he's ill, so he couldn't be here tonight, and apologize for not being here to see you off, but we will do this. City of Edgerton Declaration, recognizing and honoring Alderperson Jonathan Fry for his public service to the City of Edgerton, whereas Jonathan Fry admirably served the residents of the 1st District and the entire City of Edgerton as Alderperson from April 2016 through April 2018, and whereas Jonathan Fry's tenure on the Edgerton City Council coincided with the TIF 5 expansion of Brailford Junction Way, completion of the wastewater treatment plant, and most notably, he advocated and coordinated a group of volunteers to expand and improve the hiking trails at Racetrack Park. And whereas Jonathan Fry served on the Parks and Recreation Committee, Finance Committee, Public Safety Committee, Public Works Committee, and Personnel Committee. And whereas the City of Edgerton was well served by Jonathan Fry throughout his time as Alderperson, as he signified honesty, leadership, and dedication to the community. Now there be it resolved, the City of Edgerton Common Council, on behalf of the entire City of Edgerton, hereby recognizes and commends Jonathan Fry for his public service to the citizens of Edgerton as Alderperson, thanks him for his dedication to the community, honors him for his active role in many activities, and wishes him well in his future endeavors. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. And thank you. Thank you, Chris. Thanks for stepping up when somebody asked.
Gonna miss you.
Am I allowed to say just two things?
Sure.
I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to serve with each and every one of you. It's been a privilege and a learning experience in this little humble experiment they call democracy. So thank you very much, each and every one of you. It's been a pleasure, and I will miss you.
Thank you. And the next one is to consider adoption of City of Edgerton Declaration honoring Paul Davis.
I will make that motion, please.
Okay. Should I wait for the vote on this one, or should I read it?
Yeah, you better read it.
I want to hear it first.
Okay.
Yeah.
City of Edgerton Declaration recognizing and honoring Alderperson Paul Davis for his public service to the City of Edgerton. Whereas Paul Davis respectively served the residents of the 3rd District and the entire City of Edgerton as Alderperson from December 16 through April 2018, and whereas Paul Davis's tenure on the Edgerton City Council coincided with working through the modifications of the brush ordinance, 2017 sidewalk replacement program, and development of alternative methods for residents to rehabilitate sidewalks, and supporting the winter salt brine program. And whereas Paul Davis served on the Parks and Recreation Committee, Board of Review, Public Safety Committee, and Public Works Committee. And whereas the City of Edgerton moved forward by the contributions Paul Davis provided as Alderperson, as he signified leadership, compassion, and dedication to the community. Now, therefore, it be resolved, the City of Edgerton Common Council, on behalf of the entire City of Edgerton, hereby recognizes and honors Paul Davis for his public service to the citizens of Edgerton. As Alderperson, commends him for his dedication to the community and thanks him for his active role in many activities and wishes him well in his future endeavors. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. Thank you very much. Thanks for...
Good luck in all your future endeavors. That means your marriage, too.
Yeah. I just would like to say I really appreciated my time on the council and working with everybody here. I think it was interesting that we, the 6 of us don't agree on everything. I think that's a fact, but then again, that's what it's supposed to be. But we tried to treat each other with respect. We had decorum at the council, and I just really appreciate that, and it's good to see democracy in action. If not here, if not elsewhere, we have it here, and I think we need to be proud of that.
Yep.
Well, thank you both for stepping up when we needed someone to be here, and we know we'll be seeing you around.
I think so.
Mayor, Alderperson, and staff reports. I got a couple things. It is Municipal Treasurers Appreciation Week.
Wow.
Whole week.
That means it's Cindy Hegland week? Is that what that means?
It means we're going to the Red Baron after this.
Cindy Hegland week?
She's off this week? She's off this week?
No, I said, does it mean it's Cindy Hegland week?
Oh, yes. And speaking of the Baron, it's the 40th annual Buck Jenkins Fish Fry Saturday.
Wow.
And community fund fundraiser, so that helps out there. And then on Tuesday, the 24th, here at City Hall, there's active shooter training from 1 to 3 p.m. So if anybody's interested in that and wants to take part in that. That's all I have. Does anybody else have anything?
Do you know what the status is of that claim with the city? Where is that at, Ramona? Is that for the best realty? Is that?
They've just filed an appeal.
Anyone else?
Ramona, I'd like to thank you for that report on the claims, and also I was curious, I don't think I'm privy to, or hadn't known about the one relating to the snowplow. Could you remind me of that one again? What's that
It's
one
an
about?
accident with a snowplow and a driver that our insurance company is handling.
With another car, another
Yes.
vehicle? Oh, okay. Thank you.
Anyone else?
One last question, is the connection bridge between the fishing pond and the High Street Marsh Trail, is there going to be any progress on that this season? Or any updates on that?
It's in the budget,
Okay.
and it is, we're waiting for the snow to go away and for some of the vegetation to grow because we have to do a wetland delineation. So until the weather cooperates, we can't do that delineation.
Okay.
That's our first step.
Okay, thank you.
All right, I'll make a motion to go into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statutes 19.851G, conferring with legal counsel for the governmental body who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it is likely to become involved. Discuss and consider Strauss case.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Wellman?
Yes.
Candy Davis?
Yes.
Olson?
Yes.
Paul Davis?
Yes.
Fry?
Yes.
McIntyre?
Yes.